Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Football Palestine Extra. On today's episode, we've got a really special guest, Palestine national team assistant coach Mohammad Dajani joins us. I think this is the first time we've had an active member of a national team staff join us, so super exciting. As always, I want to thank the premium subscribers who make this video series possible. If you're not a premium subscriber, consider upgrading. If not, you'll see a portion in this video, but in order to see it in its entirety, you'll have to upgrade your subscription. So without any further ado, Hamad, my friend, Ramadan Kareem, how are you doing?
Ramadan Kareem, thank you. Thank you, Bassett. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you.
And I want to get started on kind of introing you because you sort of, I think, entered the public consciousness a couple of years ago as this young coach that really bet on himself, went to Europe, was developing his skill, his craft. We really don't have many coaches of this type of profile. And I was looking at your CV the other day, and you're already like a decade into this. You're still young. You're still in your early 30s. I think most Palestinian boys grow up dreaming of being footballers. How did you get into the coaching path?
Yeah, it's quite a long story. Yeah, I'm quite young, actually, as you said. Actually, I started, of course, as a player, maybe most of the coaches. I started as a player playing in Jerusalem, in the old city with my friends. Of course, I'm, how can I say it? My main dream was to be a top football player. I grew up in Al-Hilal, Hilal Al-Quds club. I played there and then I coached there. My coaching career started when I got that injury, really bad injury. The rehabilitation was bad. And then I found myself, okay, can you help in the club to coach the kids? And I was like, okay, nice, perfect. Let's do it. And then I start coaching and I start to feel like, okay, I can do something there. I love it. I like it. So I started in the club coaching youth. And actually many of the players who are now in the national team are playing top football. I have coached them when they were kids, like Uday Dabbagh, Musa Firawi, and some other players. They were my players when I started to coach them when they were like real kids. So I started from there. And then, of course, I wanted to educate myself more. So I went to Nablus, to Al-Najah University, to do my physical education bachelor degree. I've done it. While I'm doing it, I was still coaching. And my main target was, okay, listen, now I'm going to go hard. So I start to plan to do my master degree and to be specialized in football coaching. And that's where I started. So I invested a lot of time in myself and my education in coaching, and I start to develop my language, especially the English, of course. And there where I started as coaching.
Okay, and you mentioned you had a lot of the Generation 98 kids, Musa Firawi, Uday Dabbagh, under your tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
But the age difference is not that big.
6 years. It's 6 years only.
So
yeah. As I told you, I was quite really young. I was lucky, and at the same time, I was like this different type of a coach. To be honest with you, I was sort of updated in the way that I want to discuss and coach things with the players. I was more like I was young, but at the same time, I had this effect on the players as a friend who want them just to shine, because I'm not that guy who was like the superstar in the session, who want just to lead the session. I was the guy who want them just to enjoy and push themselves. And we were discussing a lot of details that I wanted to do when I was a player. So that's how I started with them, So they were really highly disciplined with me because I was sort of that good player in the past and who's also a nice young coach who want them to push their limits, I would say.
okay.
Yeah.
And after you got your degree, it wasn't too long after that then you made the jump to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
How did that opportunity come about? Because this is a really rare path. I mean, we had Uday Dabbagh on the show just a couple of weeks ago. Super rare for a player to make that jump. And then, the player can say, okay, exceptional talent, but coaches tend to come from, a select few countries where they know tactics, all that stuff. How did you break through and get an opportunity to do your craft in Europe?
It's a great question, Basil, because this is cover everything. I will go through the details, but at the same time, I will just take the topics in general. In general, like first, of course, you have to work hard on things. You have to see what you have to develop in your profile. At that time, I was lucky in that, and of course, to you have to be lucky. I would say, at sort of. In 2014, I was coaching that generation of Uday and Musa, and we got this trip to Norway Cup. So I was coaching that team, and they said, "Okay, listen, Mohammed, you're gonna take the 99 generation, which is 1 year younger than the 98s at that time, and you're gonna go to the Norway Cup, and you will be the coach." And at that time, I was like, "Okay, listen, this is the opportunity. I'm gonna go there, but before that, I'm gonna do my research on universities there, and what are the requirements to be accepted into the master degree." And on 2014, I was supposed to be graduated from the bachelor degree. So I did my research, and then when I went there, I just went to some universities. I said, I want to apply to the master degree here. Again, what are the requirements? When is the deadline? And then I came back home. I worked hard around maybe 7-8 months on everything I needed to do. I applied, I got accepted. Then I moved to Norway, to Trondheim, where Rosenborg is located, the club, Rosenborg. And then I start my master degree. My main master degree was on physiology. My main target was, I want to study physiology. I didn't want to study just like, sports science. So I went to study pure physiology because I was believing that if I want to be a top coach, I need to know the body. I need to know what's happening in the body. And there where my path started. And then when I was in Trondheim, I started to apply to some clubs to coach. I started in really grassroots clubs there. And I worked in my way where they really liked it. It was quite different. I'm coming from a different culture, different temper, different intensity in communication. So it was, for them, it was like, okay, that's different in the way that you're going to coach, especially in the youth. And from there, I started, and after that, I started to apply to the licenses. I got the C and the B, even though I was having the B license in Asia before I leave. But I started to do the European licenses. And yeah, sort of from there where I just start to be linked to Europe.
Yeah, and how difficult was that transition, right? You said, okay, you went and you started coaching at the grassroots. But you said, when you started your higher education, you had to work on improving your English. Then you land in Norway. You speak Norwegian, obviously. How difficult was making that breakthrough? Because, okay, you can go to a club and you might be able to converse in English, but they're going to say, okay, well, if you're going to coach here, you have to coach in Norwegian. So how difficult was that transition?
100%. That's is also for the players, not only for me. It's culture. If you want to succeed in any place, I don't know, in different things, not only in sports or in football, whatever, you need to understand the culture. And that was my main challenge, but also my main target. So I was really digging into understanding the Norwegian culture, the European culture, the way that you deal with players, the way that you deliver information on the pitch, off the pitch, the way that you're gonna, I would say, also deal with the parents, and the way that you're gonna be linked to the FA, because also I wanted to be linked to the FA. I had some good people around me who were really supporting me, friends, tutors, professors in the university. And then I also wanted to be linked to the clubs. So I was going to the clubs and I said, listen, I will work voluntarily for you in anything. You just choose. I want just to be part of this culture. I want to let people know me. And actually I went to Rosenborg and I spent around 5 months of an internship in Rosenborg. And from there, I start to get to know people. From there, I start to listen to things that, listen, there is a course in the FA. And then I start to get to know people. I apply to the course, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then you are there. And that's why it's nothing about football. It's not about your knowledge about football. You have to be humble and to get to know the culture, to get to know the people, because the football knowledge will come. And that was my main target. And of course, everything I'm telling you now, it's challenging. It's not easy. I can say it in 2 minutes, but it took so many months and too much complications.
Okay, so you started doing these internships, you started volunteering just to get your name out there, but then you spent a good chunk of your career
Yes.
as a physical preparation coach, I believe, for a big club in Norway, for is it pronounced Vålerenga?
Vålerenga.
Vålerenga. How'd that opportunity come about?
I tell you now, it's the thing that when I was in Trondheim, I was doing my master degree. Actually, before I go to Vålerenga, I applied to another master degree in Lisbon, and that was high performance football coaching. So it was, and actually it was tailored and designed and controlled by Jose Mourinho, and we had many lectures with him, and I can send you some pictures after. So it was really great, and actually in that course, in that 2 years, I had Ruben Amorim, for example, with me, the Manchester United coach. And we're still in connection. We talk a lot. So we were together in the same class. We have been together in the same group, in the small groups, the micro group in that master degree. And also Alfred Johansson, the head coach of Rosenborg now. So what I mean is, after being there, my profile started to grow, and I was doing my UEFA B license at that time, and that was 2016, 2017. And then while I was doing my UEFA B, the people in the FA, they said, "Hey, where do you coach?" I said, "I'm just in internships, coaching here and there. I'm like in grassroots club." They said, "No, come on, you have to go to a bigger club." And then they linked me to Vålerenga. Vålerenga is one of the biggest clubs in terms of names and history, maybe in Scandinavia. And it's the biggest club maybe in Norway in terms of fan base, because it's the capital. So I went to Vålerenga. I started there to coach in the youth as a football coach. And then they said, "Okay, listen, we see that you have the knowledge in terms of linking the tactical, technical, and physical aspects together, and we want to create a department there." And that department where they called it like a player development department, and I start to lead it. And after 1 year in that department, I just went up to the first team, and I start to work in the first team football. And from there, where I started in Europe. And there, where I start to really develop myself a lot, develop my profile more into elite football, into high performance daily football. I got the opportunity to grow. I got the opportunity to invest in myself, to invest into the club, and that's why I would say I had the privilege to put myself into situations which makes me specialist into football, not only just like football coach, a head coach. I was more like a specialist who link different departments, different aspects together, technical, physical, and tactical together into the game model. So that's me. That's my own profile.
Okay, so you spent quite a bit of time there, and then last year you were working with one of the biggest names in world football, Ajax here in Amsterdam. How'd that come about? And then, kind of maybe a bad timing issue, you landed at a club completely in crisis. I mean, Ajax now is back with on top of the league. Last year, the wheels had completely fallen off. So what can you tell us about that experience?
Ajax was the opportunity that I didn't expect to be part of. I was in Vålerenga at that time, and there were like this advertisement or whatever you want to call it, like that, that they wanted someone who can work on profiling players, and that was me. I was specialized in that. A person who can fit in, because Ajax as a club is a club that work into departments and specialists. So when you go there, you go into a department. You don't go just into a team. You go into a department that you have to keep rotating between teams and all this stuff. And I was the guy who want to be specialized in profiling players and player development. So I applied. There was an interview. In the interview, there was a case study that you have to work on. So I worked on the case study for a period of time. I worked my ass off. I was like 1 week, I didn't leave leave my room, working hard on making the case study, on how you develop players, how you profile them, how you link them between the first team and second team, how you link them between the match and the